The war in Afghanistan was Canada's longest war. More than 40,000 members of the Canadian forces served there from 2001 to 2014. Civilian language and culture advisors were also among those who served, in some cases carrying out very dangerous assignments. They were Canadians who immigrated from Afghanistan, and their job, among other things, was to gather intelligence on the Taliban. The war could not have been fought without them, and yet they feel forgotten now. And the CBC's Murray Brewster joins us now with more. Hi, Murray.
Hi, Vashi.
So tell us a little bit about who they are and what they did.
During the Afghan War, the Defense Department hired about 65 Afghan-Canadians. These are Canadian citizens who were recent immigrants to Canada. They were, in many cases, called directly by the military and asked, will you come and help us? We need language and cultural advisors in Afghanistan. But as the war progressed, what they needed more than anything else was people listening to the communications of the Taliban, people who would go into the community to gather intelligence. So they had a very critical role, and I knew some of them during my time there, but they played a role that was instrumental in the sense that the Canadian military probably could not have prosecuted the war without them. And when they came home from Afghanistan, many of them had spent 5, 6, 7 tours there. Some of them had PTSD and they needed help. When they went to apply for those benefits and help, they were told, you're federal contract employees and you're going to have to go to provincial workers' compensation boards for your help. And
so they couldn't access those benefits?
Couldn't access benefits. Now, we've talked to a number of them. One of them was Mohammed Amin.
We're talking about these loyal Canadians that served in a war zone. You cannot send them to WSIB.
He was not the only case that went there. I have talked to at least a half a dozen who would agree to talk on the record. I've talked to more than that, but a number of them have said that they had health complaints such as, like health issues such as back problems, etc. And in many cases, their claims have languished in the system for years. In fact, there's one that I spoke with. It's been 10 years since the claim was first filed.
Oh my goodness. And the new ombudsman actually looked into this. What did he find?
Well, Gregory Lick conducted an investigation into one of these instances. And what he found was, in 2005, the Defense Department knew that it had a problem with having to put civilians into war zones. They didn't have a policy about how long they should stay, for what kind of benefits, like what would happen to them. The matter was set aside until 2007. And in 2007, they drafted an interim policy which limited the number of deployments and just kind of put some structure to the way that they were dealing with civilians, not only advisors, but other civilians that were going to be deployed with the military. That policy, that draft policy, was not enacted until 4 months after the combat mission was over, 4 months after most of the advisors came home. Now, the Canadian military still employs people as language and cultural advisors in different aspects of missions that are going on right now. They did not have a formal policy on how to deal with these Canadians, Canadian citizens, I have to underline here, until March of 2018. So the ombudsman, I asked him, I said, for at least where the Afghan advisors are concerned, what should we think about it?
Have we failed them? Yes, we have. Because I think they have, we have not recognized fully yet the benefit, either as a federal public service or as an employer, we have not fully recognized what the solution needs to be for them.
Now, they're not sure what the solution needs to be in terms of addressing those who served in Afghanistan. And the Ombudsman is still not quite sure at the moment whether this policy that has been put in place for missions going forward is going to be adequate.
And I know that obviously you've spoken to a number of those former advisors. You also, I understand, spoke to the Department of National Defense. What are they saying?
Well, the if you remember back in June, we profiled one of these cases, and that sort of opened the floodgates on this issue. And it allowed me to talk to a number of the former advisors. And the day after our story aired in June, the Ombudsman wrote to the Deputy Minister of Defence and asked about what's happening with this. We've put this investigation in front of you. What the department wrote back to the Ombudsman said, and what the department continues to maintain and has maintained ever since we first raised this with them, is that they're committed to helping these people, but they're also committed to continuing with the system as it is, which is sending people who have been injured in war zones to provincial compensation boards as they would with any other federal employee, a federal employee who may have slipped and fallen or had some kind of other injury. So they're going to continue to do that. And for some of the advisors, such as Bashir Jazmaladat, that's not enough.
What really bothers me is that we were totally forgotten. We were just erased from the history of the Canadian Forces mission in Afghanistan.
They're feeling forgotten, and this is Remembrance Day. Our story that is online right now profiles all 6 of them and what they went through.
Well, I urge everyone to read it. It's worth it. Thanks, Murray. The CBC's Murray Brewster. Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.